School Basketball Show.
This is a second coming. This is a call to arms. Your finest hour won't be wasted.
The New Hampshire High School Basketball Show is brought to you by the New Hampshire State Liquor Commission's Division of Enforcement.
Right now, it's not about talent, it's about heart. It's about who can go out there and play the hardest, who can go out there and play the smartest. Now, they've been here before, so they're not going to give it to us. We got to go out there and we got to take it.
And now your hosts, Pete Terrier.
But I have a question, though. Those two foul shots at the end of the game, did you miss them? Or did you miss them?
Not exactly a soup question, is it?
And Dave Haley from NHSportsPage.com.
All season long, we played our game. Right now, you're playing theirs. When we step on the floor, every second that clock is ticking, we are pedal to the metal. We run the ball. We pressure the ball. And most importantly, we control the tempo of the game.
This is gonna hurt.
Good morning and welcome to our post-Christmas edition of the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show. Pete Terrier along with Dave Haley, NHSportsPage.com. Holiday, Christmas tournament, just all over the place, all over the state of New Hampshire. I know you got to check out some awesome basketball yesterday in the Queen City. I spent my Thursday traveling from gym to gym and watched a number of games and saw a number of teams for the first time this year. So it's a great time of year. I know that these games don't count in the standings, but it doesn't seem that way, does it, when you watch these games?
Yeah, it was a packed house last night, and I saw the second half of Merrimack Exeter, and then the entire Central Trinity game, which I was mentioned for the show. It's like old home week for me. I mean, it was fun for me to see. I sat with Ryan Bourgeois for a little bit. Saw Mike Stiles. I didn't get to catch up with him, but I saw Mike Stiles. Mabor Gabriel, talked to him. Talked to Troy Pelletier, who's at Bridgeton Academy. So it's fun to see the kids that you cover and so forth. But, yeah, you got to feel that at the end when, obviously we're going to talk a lot about it, but that in Central won 66-55 over Trinity. You got the feel at the end that, okay, they knew it didn't count, but it's a lot of feeling out there and kind of new styles. I was really interested in the Martin brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, John and Joey. How about, I got to say this, how about John and Joey Martin? They moved to New Hampshire. Now, I'm sure Florida, the level of play is maybe a little higher, whatnot. I don't know. I'll assume Florida's basketball, whatever level they're at. But they moved to New Hampshire. They go to Central. They play in a preseason game in front of 700, 800 people, and then they play in a Christmas tournament game in front of they're going to be like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is cool. Oh, and they had the experience of that, the game that wasn't, December 17th, that was a couple of weeks ago now almost, where they took the floor at McHugh Gymnasium at Trinity High School. They played 5 minutes and change. There was several stoppages in that game because of the wet floor, including one of the kids wiping out like 3 times. Joey Martin.
Yeah, Joey.
Wiping out like 3 times in the game. One of them had an awesome dunk, wiped off the books, I guess.
That was John.
Well, actually, that'll still count because when they resumed that game on January 19th, those stats, that 13-13 score after, there was 2 minutes, 13 seconds left in the first quarter when they halted that thing, that's all going to be carried over.
Yeah.
So that count for John Martin. His first varsity dunk in New Hampshire counts.
Yeah, so those kids have got to be like,
this is pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I got to tell my buddies back home, this is the place to be. So, when they're playing, they're playing some game against Timberlane or somebody else, and there's, 46 people in the gym later on, they're going to be real confused. It's not like this every night.
So we got a little bit of a around and about scoreboard that we've got. I mean, there was tournaments all over the place, and some of them some of them bigger than others. But we're going to try and get you as many scores as possible from these tournaments. So we'll be kind of bouncing around a little bit. I know you've got some scores and I've got some scores. So why don't we start with you first?
Show prep. I was up pretty early for this. Start with the biggest game of the day. I think that's where you go. The people want to hear it, and I'm going to give it to them. Guilford 67-48 over Kingswood. Josh Joyce, 26 points from my Golden Eagles, who play the Laconia Sachems tonight. Laconia 48-44 winners over Moultonboro. Prospect Mountain 49-35 over Belmont, and Winnisquam with a very good guard, Christian Serrano, with a 60-34 win over Newfound. All right, now we'll go to the Queen City. 66-55 Central with the win. Your Whoopee, Brett Hansen. We're going to talk about this kid. They can't stay in 38 points. And here's the funny part. He had, at the end of the game, pretty much like a slightly contested layup. They were stalling, and he saw a lane to the hoop, so he went to it. He missed a layup that would have gotten him 40 points.
Man.
And I guarantee you this morning, Brett Hansen's going, God, all I had to do was hit that layup, and I had 38 points for Brett Hansen, and it felt like 38. We'll get into that. The game before that I saw as well, Exeter comes back. They were down 8. They went to a full-court press in the fourth quarter against Merrimack, and it absolutely turned the tide of the game. 11-0 run at one point. I believe it was a 20-2 run, but Exeter with a 61-53 win over Merrimack. Zach Haller, very good point guard for them, just kind of does everything, had 13 points. The earlier game, Memorial beat West 67-47. I think both those teams are going to struggle this year. Weaver, Connecticut, it was nearly a no-show in their first ever appearance, but
I know, I was there.
They stuck around. Oh yeah, you were texting that. Yeah, so I was reading on Twitter when you were saying that they were stuck in traffic. This team from Connecticut is new, and I'm like, poor Pete has been to a game that got canceled 1 quarter in, and now he's at a game that the team's bus can't show up.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing is, this was Thursday on the opening day of the Queen City Invitational, and Bedford played Exeter in the opener of that tournament, which was a great game to start things off.
Yeah.
Exeter obviously winning that game. It was a close game.
Bedford is the best winless team in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
It's not even close.
They're good.
Because Weaver beat them 54-48.
Yeah. So the second game was supposed to be Weaver against Merrimack, and that game, the first one tips at 3, and the next one tips about 4:30 or so. Well, it was 4:30, and there was no sign of the other team, Weaver, Connecticut, from Weaver High School from Hartford, Connecticut. And Merrimack was there, and Merrimack was out there shooting at both baskets prior to the start of the game, in between games.
Sure.
And you kept hearing over the PA system, is anybody associated with the Weaver High School basketball program in the gym? Can they please come to the scorer's table?
Yeah.
Crickets. This happened like 3 or 4 times. So then we start looking around. People start looking around. The buzz starts coming around like, they ain't here. And has anybody confirmed with these guys that they were going to show up? And, does anybody know where Jack Quirk is? He's the AD at Memorial, who maybe was the contact guy, but not running the tournament. Quirk wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't see him last night.
There was no phone call. But they didn't know if anybody had any way of getting a hold of anybody once the tournament got going.
Yeah.
So they weren't sure if they were coming, if they had crashed on the side of the road or whatever. They were stuck in traffic. There was weather going on Thursday, as you remember. It was snowing in the morning.
I remember.
And then throughout the day, and it caused a lot of problems on the roadway. Well, apparently what happened was they called that game after, probably about a half hour, 45-minute wait for them, where Merrimack was just out there shooting around prior to the game, and thinking that they were going to have to scrimmage themselves, or thought that they might have to put me and my son Zach on the floor against, this Merrimack
Yeah, get
team.
you on the low block.
Get
Pete
try
Terry
and
down
post
low.
me up a little bit. That's my strength.
We're
not a perimeter guy. But anyways, so they forfeited the game. Weaver forfeited the game, and then 5 minutes later, they showed up.
Yeah.
So Merrimack said, all right, we'll play.
And they played a close game.
They did.
Yeah. So, and one more thing before we move on. I talked to Tommy Amin last night, visited with him at halftime, but they need an announcer at those games.
Oh, my God. I told Tommy that in the offseason.
When we did the Jamboree, when we were planning with Kevin Bonney and Pete and I, that was something Pete said right away. And he said, you absolutely positively need an announcer at these games. There's nothing. I mean, Brett Hansen had 38 points and there wasn't one. I mean, listen, everyone in the gym knows who he is, or ought to, but there's not one. They need an announcer. There's no music. I mean, there's no band. There's no cheerleaders. I'm all for tradition, but goodness gracious. Did I just say goodness gracious? What the heck is wrong with me? Anyway, let's get to it. Starting my family. All right, move around a little bit. I want to go up north and talk about tournament up north there. Profile got a nice win. They beat Pittsburgh Canaan. Profile's going to be Profile and Littleton are two of the best teams in the north, along with Colebrook. And Profile beats Pittsburgh Canaan 64-48. They're going to play Littleton at 2:30 today, which screws up my world because I'm supposed to watch Notre Dame in a bowl game at noon. Otherwise, I might be up there watching those guys. But Littleton beat Lisbon 56-39, so they'll play in the final of that tournament. I know you're working on some scores, but other ones, Pelham with a 77-59 win over Drake at Mass. In that same tournament, Chelmsford, Mass beat Londonderry, but Ryan Cloutier with 21 points, Keith Brown with 22 points, and Jake Vic Norris, who is the runner-up for your Whoopie, had 17 points. So that's a really good win for Matt Regan and Pelham, and they'll play Chelmsford, Mass. Next, kind of bouncing around a little bit, Alvern 65, Souhegan 51 over in the Chick-fil-A. North with a 59-45 win over Milford. Jordan Lates had 21 in that one. Nashua South, Pete Terrier's alma mater, beats Thornton, Massachusetts, or Thornton, Rhode Island, 68-62.
Saco, Maine, Thornton Academy. Saco, Maine.
I guessed 2 states and was wrong on both. I'm not even close. If I had just named all the New England states, I would have got it eventually. Hollis Brookline 51-44 over Goffstown. That game went to overtime. By the way, Yordi Tavares with 27 for South. Yeah, you said he's the real deal. He was quite. He retweeted that. He was happy to hear that. A couple other quick scores. Epping big time 57-26 over Gorham. Epping is good.
Did you hear that? And I read this on Seacoast Online. It was 43-2 at the half in that game. Epping and Gorham.
Yeah, I think.
43-2, Dave.
I think there was some confusion off the record amongst some people watching how Gorham was able to compete with Colebrook early this year. Colebrook was up 18 on him, and then Gorham came back. But yeah. I don't.
40. Imagine that, 43-2.
No. What do you say at halftime? What do you say to the troops at 43-2?
Well, what
don't punch anybody.
What you do if you're Sean Young from Epping, you say, all right, guys, we're going to work some of the other guys.
I think, yeah, he did. He absolutely did. They scored 14 points in the second half, so he called off the Dogs, no question about it. Newmarket wins in overtime. They beat Sanborn 50-44. Good win for Jamie Hayes. Going over to the Keene tournament, we're going to talk to Keith Matty in a little bit. That's pretty much one of the games of the day, absolutely, today. Lebanon with a 65-44 win over Campbell. Kalen Sauer with 19 points. We saw him light it up in the Jamboree. Conant beat Keene again, but Keene battled him a little bit better this time. Conant 63, Keene 49. Robert O'Brien with 25 points. Cole Brown beats Plymouth 47-40. Smithfield, Rhode Island 65. Newport 41. And then one other score I want to have you get some scores. I've kind of given you a homework assignment here, but Derryfield, I don't have the final score on this, but Derryfield D4 beat Kennett, who's a solid Division II team by, I think it was about 14 points. I wish I could remember the final score, but
it was double digits.
It was double digits, and they were up the whole game, but Derryfield beats Kennett in the Mike Lee Holiday Tournament. And they're the favorite in D4, and boy, that's an impressive holiday tournament win because Kennett's not bad at all.
Well, scores I got are from that Capital Area Classic at NHTI in Concord. A very interesting tournament there, I believe, and a very interesting final has shaped up here. You got Brady beat Merrimack Valley 70-50. Jordan Bell, big game there, 29 points for him. That was a 2-point game at halftime, I think, if I remember correctly. So Brady, just tried to use their speed and press to really affect that much bigger Merrimack Valley team. So they win at 70-50. Pembroke, for the second straight game, putting up over 80, 83-44 over Concord. So that's D2 beating up on a D1 Concord team. And that one, we talked about 43-2 at half between Epping and Gorham. Well, it was 48-12 at half.
That's unbelievable.
Pembroke was on top of Concord.
D2 against a D1 team.
Pat Welch, another huge game for him, had 28 points, and just about all of them, early. In the first half.
Yeah.
I think he had 15 in the first quarter. He had 31, I believe, in the opening round game with Pembroke the other night. Kearsarge beats Bow 42-41, and Hopkinton 76-41 winners over John Stark. So it's going to be Brady against Pembroke tonight in the championship game.
And by the way, Brady got back Brendan Johnson. Do you remember he was the quarterback in the football team. He was a good power forward for them last year. Do you remember at the Jamboree, I think it was a couple of coaches were saying, hey, where's the forward for these guys? And he didn't play for Brady in the Jamboree. He did play against Conant, but He just came back. He just came back last week, and I believe he had 26 points against Hopkinton. But that makes them now they've got 3 guys who can all go over 20 points. So that makes Brady a little more formidable. That's going to be interesting. I mean, that's sort of like with Brady playing Pembroke. That's sort of the same situation as Central and Trinity, where they're going to see each other later with higher stakes, but it's going to be interesting. We'll see if Brady can hang with them.
I think both teams want to win that game, and that should be an exciting game. The Oyster River, the Bobcat Invitational. You look on the Seacoast area, and you got the Bobcat Invitational at Oyster River. Then you got the Wildcat Invitational in Maine, just over the border. These are games, and this one really raised my eyebrows. And not because I think Portsmouth, can't hang with some of the better teams in the state, regardless of division, but 36-33.
I know.
Portsmouth beats Winnicott. So now Portsmouth is going to take on Oyster River, so an all D2 championship game in that Bobcat Invitational. Oyster River, and another kind of a surprising score. 58-53, they beat Spalding.
Yeah.
And Nick Lazar, 27 points. Chris Glant, 25 in that game. But so now it's Oyster River hosting the championship game against their D2 rivals, Portsmouth.
So Spalding, kind of the worst kept secret is Anthony Ciccatelli, very good forward for them, has quit the team. And he, in the preseason, the stories I heard where he was talking about not playing, Coach Cronin was able to kind of guide him back. He played in the Jamboree, we saw him, but I had heard that he was just, his heart never just seemed to be into it, and he left the team. So anyway, those were the 2 key guys, Charlie Nevigins and
they're 2 big guys. Really, that
now
gave them some
1.
decent size. Now they got 1. And look, Spalding, I think, is going to be okay, but they're not going to be upper echelon like they have been in recent years.
They're going to be between, I think right where I put them in the preseason, like 11 to 14, or one of those teams in there. But that's a tough loss for them. But yeah, good win. Nick Lazar, very good player for Oyster River. And the end, Ryan O'Leary from the Portsmouth Herald was near me. He was covering the Exeter game last night, and we were talking. It was 6-2 at the end of the first quarter. Portsmouth leading Winnicott. That's surprising. Winnicott can put up a lot of points. Richie Ruffin and Sam Nolmeyer. I don't know.
I wonder if there was like deliberate offense, just kind of like I'm not saying it was 4 corners.
I don't know if a kid was missing or something. You know what I mean? I remember, I remember stories of like kids going on vacation or something. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't know. I'll have to check the box score. I didn't have time to do it this morning.
Well, it wouldn't take you too much to go through a box score of a game that finished 36-33.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a timeout. I want to talk about some of the action that you saw yesterday at Queen City Invitational. I want to talk about that half of basketball you saw between Exeter and Merrimack, because I lost a friendly wager with our friend TNF because of that victory by Exeter over Merrimack, when the day before I said Merrimack is a better team than Exeter. I guess I was wrong, at least what the final results from yesterday tell us.
They were for 27 minutes, they were.
And then I want to talk, as much as we can about that Trinity-Manchester Central game. Got to hear more about my boy Brett Hansen going off for 38 in that game.
You will be.
And don't forget, we got Keith Matty, the head coach of the Lebanon Raiders, coming up 8:35 this morning. His team in the championship game of that Zero Gravity Holiday Tournament out in Keene, taking on a very tough Conan Orioles team. I can't wait to talk to Coach Matty about his team.
I think that's a semifinal game.
Oh, is that a semifinal game?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
All right, a lot of teams involved in there, so we're trying to keep track of all these holiday tournaments. The regular season resumes next Friday around the state of New Hampshire, so that's the 3rd of January. So we'll be back out there covering that right here on the New Hampshire High School Hoops Show, News Radio 610 and 96.7. 12 o'clock today, kickoff from the new Yankee Stadium.
God, that's glorious.
Notre Dame and Rutgers in the Pinstripe Bowl.
The granddaddy of them all.
So you're all pumped up about this thing.
I am. I'll be in an establishment in Portsmouth at noon watching that one. Hey, it's a bowl game. My Fighting Irish. Maybe we're going to win this year. We got killed by Alabama last year. So.
How about the Fighting Irish minute right now? Just sum up that Notre Dame season, the year after you had a chance at the national championship game.
We played with our backup quarterback, Tommy Reese. So we are. We're an 8-14. WGIR, as Bill Parcells said, we're an 8-14. But we beat Michigan State, who's going to the Rose Bowl. We beat Arizona State, who was in the championship of the Pac-12. We beat some good teams, but quarterback play. Tommy Reese is going to be the best quarterback in his lawyer league or whatever the heck he does in the next year. Next fall, he'll be ripping up the state. He'll throw 7 touchdowns in his lawyer league. And we get Everett Golston back, who was suspended for the year. So we're top 5 next year. We're going to get a W today, and we're moving on to next year.
And I saw the news. Sorry, my chair is just really low. I can't figure out how to get it up higher.
Mini-me.
I feel like a hobbit right now. I did see that movie a couple weeks ago. It was awesome, by the way. So I saw next year they're playing at Fenway. So Yankee Stadium today. Yeah. Next year they're playing BC at Fenway.
No, I don't know if that's next year. I think it's 2015 is when they have that game. It's in the.
Well, if I said this on the show next week, it would be next year they're playing at Fenway.
15, yeah, 2015. Sorry, yeah. So yeah, they do. And then next year, I think they're in the Meadowlands against Syracuse. I might try to go see that game. So.
Syracuse played a bowl game last night.
They won.
I saw the funky unit. Oh, congratulations to the Orange.
By the way, any comment that Matt Regan told me over text that your son is a better shooter than you?
Well, I'm at the
defend yourself.
I'm at the Chick-fil-A tournament down in Nashua on Thursday. I caught the first game at the Queen City, and then when that other game was a delayed beginning, we drove down to Nashua. I was planning on going to Nashua to see North and Alvern and Nashua South against Hollis Brookline, but I ended up catching a little bit of the Goffstown Thornton Academy game, and then those other 2 games, the nighttime session, if you will, in the Chick-fil-A tournament. So they were doing this knockout contest during halftime of one of the games where they let the people come in and shoot until they miss, and they determine a winner. But when a couple of like little 5-year-old kids roll out there, they don't quite understand the knockout what that really means, so they just get the ball, they shoot. And my son is used to shooting on 8-foot rims. He started playing basketball about 6 weeks ago.
Sure.
And they got the rims up at 10, and he's trying with all his might, and he's not even coming close to hitting the bottom of the net. So they keep giving him the ball, and he's shooting again. And I tried to lift him up and put him, and he still airballed it. So, of course, he goes off to the side crying because he couldn't hit a basket. And I'm trying to explain to him that, look, these are 10-foot nets. These are NBA heights. They're high school kids. They're 2 feet taller than what you're used to. So I go on the sideline, and I'm checking Twitter, and I'm tweeting out updates of the game, and I see Matt Regan, the Pelham basketball coach, tweets out something about him, being a good shooter for a little kid and much better. Obviously, doesn't get it from me. So
Regan's already trying to see. He's probably got a 6-year-old team.
We might move to Pelham. I really like.
Could do a lot worse.
I want to. I live in Goffstown now. The Goffstown basketball team is struggling right now. They were good a couple years ago. They were, I think, 500 last year, but they had to rally to get to 500. And this year, I don't think they're going to be very good. So, I'm taking offers, coaches. You hear all these transfer controversies all around the state. Coach Alosa, if you're listening, love to get my kid to play for you. I don't know if any of these coaches that are around now.
He doesn't recruit. Remember?
They're still going to be around in 10 years. I don't know. We'll see. And then I got another one 2 years younger than that. So, it might be fruitful. Little recruitment of the Terrier family.
Yeah, absolutely. Or hockey, too. Hockey coaches may want to listen, too.
Yeah. So it should be fun. So I know we only got a couple of minutes to talk because we got to get to Keith Maddie from Exeter after our next break. But talk about this Trinity Central game. What was it like? Was it kind of nip and tuck all the way?
Yeah.
Was it a game of runs, or what was the story?
It was very, very a game of runs. It was very back and forth. Kind of my thoughts on it are Trinity is such a resilient group. Ryan Otis had a real tough first half. He couldn't stay in front of Brett Hansen. And they put 3 or 4. They put Patrick Keefe on Brett Hansen. They put Luke Testa on. Nobody could stop him. And Ryan Otis had a tough first half. And I like him a lot as a player. He had a really, really good second half. Had a big steal and a layup. Had some nice drives. The thing about these two teams, couple quick hitter thoughts. The great thing about these two teams, and I believe they're the 2 best teams in the state, they don't rely on the 3-pointer at all. They'll hit a couple. Dawson can knock them down. Brett Hansen hits a few. And Patrick Keefe has really improved his 3-point shooting, by the way. He hit a few last night. But they don't rely on it. They go to the basket hard. Carmen is definitely in football shape.
I thought Carmen looked great. The couple times I saw him, I thought he looked great.
Last night against a superior team, well, he's terrific. But he's not to where he's going to be. He's just better than that. He's good. He's fantastic, but he's not quite where he's going to be. So remember that. Wenyan, my Whoopi, I love him. please, for the love of Pete, will somebody tell him to get on the low block and just post up and not try to take people 15 feet off the dribble? I don't understand why these guys in New Hampshire, I was talking to a couple of the guys last night, 6'7" kid, and he's taking people 15 feet off the dribble. Just go to the post. Do we have to get him film of Kevin McHale? And he's not alone.
Is it the size? Is it his size or lack thereof? I mean, he's 6'7", but he's also...
none of these guys do. Even Max Medley's taking people off the dribble. It's nobody has a back to the basket game. I don't understand it. And I know, Mabor did, but I'd like to see when you get on the low block. But anyway...
Don't you think Coach Keefe would like to see that too?
I think he'd love that, yeah. But I don't know. Anyway, AAU. Anyway, so basically, Central pulled away late, and I thought Brad Rhodes gave Trinity some really nice minutes for them as well. And I think Central just is... They're deep. Mike Pletz has had a couple turnovers, but he also had some big offensive rebounds. And you got to like Nick Macris and Tyler Kelly for Central, just battling. They don't care about scoring points, and they just work really hard. They shove you. They hit you defensively. They're football players, and they act like it, and they play like it. They do a nice job. But, boy, Central's got a lot. Joey Martin didn't do a lot last night. He's really just a shooter on the perimeter, but John Martin is tough. He's got a nice little spin move in the lane, like a lefty floater, and Central's just got a lot of weapons. I mean, they go 7 guys who could start for just about anybody.
This is the deepest Central team they've had, since the Tyler Roach years, I think.
And that Trinity team, last thought on the whole thing, that Trinity team is just, they get down 6 and they're coming back, and they just grind it out and they work, and Dave Keefe does a terrific job with those guys. It'll be fun when they resume it. At 13-13, it was a lot of fun. Don't let the 11 point. It was never that big the entire game. It was tight until the last 3 minutes of the game, and then foul shots and stuff like that. But Brett Hansen was big time. And I don't know if he's staying at Central next year or if he's leaving or whatever. That's for him and his parents to decide.
You talk about potential prep school?
Yeah, I keep hearing, rumors, whispers. But, boy, I'll tell you, I think he plays, he could get enough good looks at, maybe a D2 player down the line or something like that, because he's got size. The thing, Doc said in the postgame, he went from 5'10" to 6'3", pretty quickly. And he can post you, he gets the ball and he kind of has that step he's ready for. He'll drill that 3-pointer or he'll go right around you. But he takes those weird angles to the hoop. He finishes. He's a nice touch at the rim. Very soft, like nice spin off glass. He doesn't miss a lot of drives off glass. And boy, he was unbelievable. Nobody could stay in front of him. And it's going to be interesting to see the adjustments that Dave Keefe makes. I'm sure that he will next time around.
All right, we'll take a timeout, come back with Keith Maddie, the head coach of the Lebanon Raiders. His team getting set to take on a real tough basketball team, the Conant Orioles, in that zero-gravity tournament out of Keene State College. We'll talk to Coach Maddie next. And then when we come back, we'll wrap up the show. I want to talk about that Merrimack-Exeter game, at least what you saw, and what I saw from those first two teams, when I was at the Queen City Invitational the other day. And then I want to talk a little bit about that Nashua tournament. I got to see a number of games down there on Thursday. Want to talk about this Nashua South team that I don't think a lot of people are giving much of a chance, but I think they're pretty good this year. And I love Trevor Knight, tremendous player. I want to talk about those games when we come back. It is the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show, News Radio 610 and 96.7. Joining us on the phone lines by way of Lebanon, New Hampshire, up 89 near the Vermont-New Hampshire border. He's got himself a real good basketball program, the Raiders. Coach Keith Maddie on the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show. Coach, thanks for joining us on this Saturday morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So you're gearing up for your game against Conant today. Now, me and Dave were kind of going back and forth. Is this a semifinal game or is it a final of that zero-gravity tournament at Keene State?
This is the semifinals.
It's worthy of the finals, I'll tell you.
Excuse me?
I said it's worthy of a finals matchup.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a great game. It's fun to play down in Keene and to play Conant down in Keene because they bring a lot of people. So it's pretty exciting. And I know that we played them 2 years ago in the finals, and then last year we had a matchup that got snowed out, and we were all, Conant and Lebanon, were very disappointed. So it's got a little extra zing to it tonight.
And Coach, obviously Robert O'Brien is the best player in Division III. I think he's one of the probably top 10 players, maybe even better than that in the entire state. Talk about Robert O'Brien a little bit for Conant, but also does a kid like Nick Shepard, who I think is a real underrated kid for you, is that a guy that you might put on him? I know you've already done a pretty good job on Patrick Welch, so you're kind of used to keeping track of a really, really good scorer and defending that kind of player. But talk about how you might approach that today.
Well, we feel we have a couple real good defenders for a kid like Rob or a kid like Pat, and we switch a lot too. Like we switch all handoffs, all crosses. I mean, we're not that big, so we're sort of interchangeable. So like Nick will definitely start on him, but then we have another young man who's an all-state football player named Austin Pelletier, who's the best player in the state that doesn't look like a basketball player in any way. and those two kids will do a great job. Like they did on Pat, and Robert's going to get his points. I think last night he had 21 of Conant's first 25 points or something like that. And you just got to make him get difficult shots, and he's going to make some of them. And you got to just stay with your principles and keep plugging away. Yeah, he's a great player and easily one of the top 10 in the state. Yeah, no question.
So when you and I talked, and you and I talk quite frequently, but when we were talking at the Jamboree, you said, I was asking you about your son, KJ, who is a freshman guard, and I think one of the best freshmen in the entire state, and you were saying, I don't know if he's ready to start, and if he is, he's a freshman, maybe it's not, where's that evolution now? Because I know he hit a huge shot for you against Pembroke that helped tie that game late, but kind of talk about, I thought he got really good experience, obviously, in the Jamboree, and you guys play some really good preseason games, but kind of talk about how he's come along as a freshman here in his first month.
Well, he started yesterday actually, but he won't start today. And I've actually started 9 different kids in our 4 games because I have 7 seniors who really put in the time and worked hard, and they've grown up waiting for their turn, and they've earned it and deserve it. And then I have 2 really special younger players. And not just my son, but Austin Whaley, who deserves to start as well. So we try to downplay all that. We try not to make a big deal of it, and we just we just go out and play. And they're all averaging between 16 and 22 minutes a game. So we're deep, and we're hoping to use that depth to wear teams down. That'll be a challenge tonight. But KJ's played well. I'm really happy for it. It's weird. He's been riding the bus with me to these games for 16 years or 15 years, and now he's actually in the back of the bus with the team instead of sitting next to me. But it's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
That's Keith Maddie, head coach of the Lebanon Raiders. His team, one of the upper echelon teams in Division II, taking on one of the best teams in Division III, probably the best team in Division III, and one of the best teams in the state, Conant, today in the semifinals of that Zero Gravity Holiday Tournament out at Keene State College. What time is the tip-off for that game, Coach? If people want to go check it out,
the game is at 7.
Okay,
and. There'll be a good semifinal right before in Smithfield, Rhode Island, who's an excellent team, versus Co-Brown, who's always good. And it's gonna be a great night tonight.
So, Coach, who did you play in the tournament prior to? I know you had the. Who did you play yesterday? And was that your first, or was it your second game?
No, that was our first game. Was yesterday. We played Campbell, who's good. They're young, and I think they were a little shocked at first, and then they adjusted and played a real good second half, but. We played Campbell, and it was we're a little stronger than they are. We're like 1 year older than them, essentially. I think they remind me of us last year, without like the David Hampton type player. And then Keene actually played a tough game against Conant. Those kids played real hard, and they hung in there against Conant, which was good for Keene. And I think it sets up a great game tonight.
Now, of your players, the 2 kids that I saw, from last year, and then I saw again in the Jamboree when you beat Spalding, which was Spalding pretty much at full strength back then. We were talking earlier how one of the big kids, Ciccatelli, decided to sit out the season. He played in that game where you guys, he's a good player, big, good, some good size, but you guys came back to win that game. Dom Morrill was a kid that I remember from last year who who, obviously is a real good basketball player for you. His brother plays line for the UNH Wildcat football team. And then the guard, and I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. Is it Kalen So, or is it Sal, or Kalen Sue, or what?
There's over like 20 pronunciations for his name. The way he likes it, or the way that his mom would like you to say it, would be Colin, just as if it was Colin, and then Sal, like a sow.
Okay. Yeah, I know you wanted to say like a pig, but you didn't try to temper that a little. All right, so Colin, Sal.
You handled that well.
I mean, that's a good 1-2 combination for you guys, especially with the ball in their hands.
Yeah, exactly. We actually, Colin and Dom have some experience from last year, and Nick Shepard has some experience from last year. But after that, they're all new guys, which makes it a lot of fun. And those three give us enough guidance and leadership, and then everybody else just comes in and plays hard, and it's worked well so far.
What did I was able to listen to. I was actually, we're doing some fundraising with you guys now. So I was at practice when you guys were getting ready for Pembroke, and then I listened on the radio at the end of that Pembroke game that they won 68-65 on a off glass, not called 3-pointer, one of those kind of early season losses. And coaches hate the term, good losses. And, I know how bad you guys just wanted that win and certainly absolutely would have earned it if you had. What did you say to this team? You've mentioned there's still a lot of guys who are fairly new to the rotation. I feel like you've just got a good mix of kids with this group, and I know you like these guys a lot. What did you say to those guys after that loss?
Well, we've always said it's always, it's about the journey. It's not about any individual night. And that sounds like a cliche, but we really believe it. We just have to get better, and we know that at the end of the year we want to beat Pembroke. And even if we'd won that game and come out and not, gotten to our ultimate goal, we'd be disappointed. So we kind of just put it behind us. It was a tough loss. That kid made a great shot at the end, and we think we played really well, but we have a lot of room for improvement, as all teams do at this point of the year, so we just got to keep focused on just improving every single day. And, like tonight, I think it's a really good opportunity to play a team of the same caliber as Pembroke, and we're just going to see if we've improved.
And it should be a fun basketball game. 7 o'clock tip, Keene State College, the Zero Gravity Holiday Tournament. It's real nice to see, a team like yours going against some of these different teams. I mean, Co Brown makes the trip over there. You mentioned Campbell making the trip over there along with Keene and, the team from Rhode Island. I just love holiday tournament basketball. It's fun. It doesn't mean anything as far as the standings, but it certainly means a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really sad, actually, and I enjoy your tweets, just following all the games that are going on during the last couple of days. It's when you're playing, you can't actually get out and see some of these games. I wish I could have been to Central and Trinity, or, I actually saw you and your son actually at the National South tournament, and we'd like to get your kids up for an official visit.
Yeah, come on, hey, why not?
And, we'll wine and dine you. Don't rule us out.
Send them home with a Lebanon T-shirt and a sweatshirt.
Hey, my roots, the Terrier name has roots in Vermont, so I spent, and you probably remember this place, the old A&W right there on the border, White River Junction. Yeah. That was our go-to spot on the way up to Williston, which is just outside of Burlington, Vermont. We always stopped at that A&W in Lebanon. So.
Yep, that's right. It was actually right there until about 15 years ago.
Yeah, if you can bring that back, you might have yourself a couple players in 10 years.
I think we should talk off the air, though.
All right, Coach.
I don't want to get a call from NHIA.
Yeah, that's right. Coach, we really appreciate the time, and thanks so much for coming on the show and being a supporter of the show and helping us do what we do here on the radio show and, of course, at nhsportspage.com.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, and good luck against Conant.
Okay.
All right. Keith Maddie, he's one of the good ones.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't see him at the game.
Apparently, everybody saw you at the game. Yeah. You're a personality now, Pete. Especially when you're out there on the floor. People want to see immediately if you got any skills.
Yeah, and they notice right off the bat that I don't.
CYO League legend.
I used to be okay back in the day, but that was, 25 years ago.
What was the career high again for you?
37.
37?
I had 37.
Wow.
And, dude, I missed like 15 free throws in that game, too. I could have had 50.
37.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I mean, I went to high school at Nashua in the days where there was one school.
Yeah.
So, we took, I think, 12 kids on the team. I was like number 15.
Yeah.
So if it would have been a split situation when I was there with North and South, I would have definitely made the team. I probably would have played significant minutes. But, hey, whatever. I had a lot of fun playing CYO and for the boys club and, starring in a much minor role than that. All right, we'll take a timeout, come back. As I said, I want to talk a little bit about that Merrimack Exeter game from yesterday, give my take on those two teams, lament the loss in the wager to TNF, how I said Merrimack's going to win that game. He had Exeter. Now I owe him like a million different things. And then I want to talk about what I saw in the Chick-fil-A tournament down in Nashua. You got Alvern playing against Nashua South for the championship of that tournament later on today. It is the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show, News Radio 610 and 96.7. Jennifer Wells here, making it happen for us, telling us that we got only 4 minutes in this close of the show segment. It is the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show. We do it each and every Saturday morning live on the radio on two fine radio stations here in New Hampshire, News Radio 610 in the Manchester area, the legendary WGIR, and of course our Seacoast FM station 96.7 out there in Dave Haley country, hailing from Hampton. How is it on the seacoast?
Glorious Hampton Beach. It's a little windy over there. It smells like salt in the air. But, we'll be in town today in Portsmouth if anyone wants to join me for the Pinstripe Bowl. Noon.
And that's noon kickoff. Notre Dame and
Yankee
Rutgers.
Stadium.
The Patriots South, Rutgers University.
That's right.
I had a chance to check out some of the Queen City Invitational Tournament action on Thursday. I'm so confused as to what day it is. I've been basically on vacation from my real job since last Friday. Although I have had to do some nighttime things for Rock 101, and I got some more over the course of this weekend.
Air hockey tournaments.
No, that's coming up.
Oh,
that's bubble hockey.
Bubble hockey.
But right now I'm doing like wrestling events tonight, and then I got a Patriots party over at Murphy's Tap Room in Manchester tomorrow. But I got a chance to see Exeter. A lot of people talking about the Exeter Blue Hawks, and I've seen Merrimack in the Jamboree. I saw them play Pelham, and obviously Eric Gendron is a tremendous player. I think the kid Shane Burke, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's a big man who can shoot the ball, kind of a poor man's Tyler Gendron.
Yeah.
Lefty shooter, has some outside skills. I don't think he's as big as Tyler Gendron. And I was confident that Merrimack was going to win that game yesterday because I thought that they had the three best players. And obviously Eric Gendron and then Burke, or Bork, however you pronounce it, and then the kid Franzen.
Yeah.
But Exeter is just solid, man. They got like 8-10 kids who can all play.
They do. I got to see Brian Holmes for the first time yesterday, Jeff's son, who's a sophomore. He's a good little player. He's got a nice stroke, which doesn't shock you because his father could
More
shoot.
hair than his father at this point.
More hair than me, too, so hey. But yeah, they've got a point guard who runs the show, and then they've got Jordan Dickinson is his kid's name.
Yeah.
Nice little player there, and Max Medley. They run. Jeff Holmes runs really nice sets. Like they get good shots out of their offensive sets. But what they did is they were down 8. They pressed full court, and again, when you're 8-9 guys deep, legitimately you can go out there and rotate in 8-9 guys, without having to worry about fatigue. And they hit Merrimack with it. They weren't ready for it. I think it was something like it was 4 straight turnovers from Merrimack. Once they got back in the half court, Merrimack did okay, but that was the difference of the game. And Exeter is legit. I think we already knew that, but they're legit.
I think they're legit, too. Let's talk quickly about the Nashua South Purple Panthers. My Purple Panthers coach, Nate Mazarol, I think he's in like his 15th or 16th year. Still looks very, very young. The best player you don't know about, Yordi Tavares, was on the team a couple of years ago, did not play on that Preston Brothers-led team, Dave Dunham team last year that made it to the semifinals. Kid's been putting up over 20 points a game. He's a point guard that can shoot the basketball. He's very, very good. And another kid you don't know about from Nashua South, 6'5" junior, Mike Osgood. He's Not as tough inside as Jack Preston, but he's got a better outside game, and he had a monster two-handed dunk in that game. Watch out for Nashua South this year. That's all the time we have. I want to thank John Kestney for coming in and filming this thing. It's going to be up on nhsportspage.com. Dave Haley, Coach Keith Matty, for Jennifer Wells, my name's Pete Terrier. Enjoy your holiday.